The untimely demise of the Toronto Blue Jays offense was apparently premature after rising from the ashes to fly high in Game 3. This is MLB Game Night, postseason edition.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Welcome into MLB Game Night, every game, every night. It's the postseason edition. I am one of the hosts here at MLB Game Night. My name is JD Hafron. I'm also the host of Locked On Cardinals. Joining me, host of, or should I say one of the hosts, one half of Locked On Angels, my man Jon Frisch. We got a lot to get to on today's show because we had ALCS Game 3 this evening. We're going to talk about ALCS Game 3 for the National League. The Toronto Blue Jays offense answers the bell in Game 3. A look back at the dominance of Yoshinobu Yamamoto in Game 2 of that NLCS, plus a preview, as I mentioned, of NLCS between the Brewers and the Dodgers, which is moving to LA. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. All right, Blue Jays at Mariners. ALCS Game 3 on this Wednesday night. The ALCS returning to Seattle for the first time since 2001. And, of course, they bring out the stars. It was appropriate. Ichiro Suzuki in the hizzy for this particular game. 2001 was the rookie year for Ichiro, rookie year as far as Major League Baseball goes. And it was also the last time Seattle made it to the ALCS. And I know he was an enemy of yours for years, being an Angels guy, John. But honestly, how great was Ichiro during his time in the big leagues?
Oh man, it was so fun to watch Ichiro. And, I was like teenager, high schooler going to Angels games, watching them against the Mariners and seeing Ichiro for those Mariners teams was just a lot of fun. And you know what? He had the Ohtani influence before Ohtani in terms of attracting Japanese fans here and abroad. And so every time the Mariners came to town, Mariners fans would show up and show out in support of Ichiro. So it was always really cool to see.
Now, even in his later years, when even after like New York, when he was in Miami for a couple years there, I always pleaded for the Cardinals to sign him just because I wanted to see him. I wanted to see, like, why wouldn't you want that dude around your clubhouse? But instead he goes to the Marlins. Like, come on, Cardinals. Dude. Anyway, the guy was a stud. We all know that. And I don't know if there's a single person on this planet that is like, no, I don't like Ichiro. Everybody likes Ichiro.
The one baseball writer who didn't vote him in unanimously. That's the one person on the planet who doesn't like
one guy on the planet has a problem with Ichiro Suzuki. So he's in the house. The Mariners return home. They got a 2-0 lead in this ALCS over the Toronto Blue Jays. It's been all Mariners so far in this one. Pitching staff was able to keep the Blue Jays offense quiet, limited them to just 4 runs over the first 2 games. Meanwhile, the Mariners offense, they were getting along just fine. Just did enough in Game 1 to win that one 3-1. Then they put up 10 runs in Game 2 and handed rookie starter Trey Savage his first loss of the postseason. The Blue Jays failed to win both of their 2 home games, which was shocking considering how good they were at home during the regular season. And now they got this uphill battle to fight on the road. And if they were going to even get back into this series, a lot of people already kind of writing them off. Would Toronto's offense, though, wake up behind starter Shane Bieber, or would George Kirby and the Mariners pitching staff keep the Blue Jays flightless yet again? Let's check in with Braden from Locked On Blue Jays, who shares which Jay might have been the one to actually save the playoffs for Toronto.
Woo! That's the Toronto Blue Jays team we've wanted to see. Andres Gimenez might have just saved the season for the Toronto Blue Jays. What a start to that game. A guy nobody expected to come out in that big moment and hit that home run. Andres Gimenez. Shane Bieber, he had us worried for a second. He really did. That first inning was not good, but he goes 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, turns the temperature up, and propels this Blue Jays team to a win. I mean, look at these stats. 18 hits. That's what we've come to expect from this Toronto Blue Jays team. The team that gets bats on balls, gets those greasy hits, get them on, get them over, get them in. 2-1 series. The Blue Jays are here to play. They haven't given up. We haven't given up. Scherzer on the bump tomorrow. Let's go. We want it all.
All right. As you can see, Braden very excited about what his Blue Jays were able to do tonight because for once they look like the Toronto Blue Jays from this past season. And this particular game, it began a lot like the last game. You had Julio Rodriguez putting up the first runs of the game with that 2-run homer off Shane Bieber that Braden mentioned there. And what did we say last night, about hitting home runs in that first inning? It's almost like a bad omen, like the kiss of death, John. And here you got Julio pops a 2-run home run. You're like, oh, here they go. This is going to get crazy. Jorge Polanco follows him with a ground rule double. And then you're thinking, man, this could get ugly. And poor Toronto, you're feeling bad for him. But then they strand Polanco. He doesn't make it in. Bieber stops the bleeding. Very important here because it gave the Blue Jays offense a chance to take a breath, to kind of wake up a little bit. And did they ever? Not sure if they took smelling salts or whatever it was that woke them up out of their slumber. But they would go on to score the next 12 runs in this rout of the Seattle Mariners. But we want to stick to the pitching first. Back to Shane Bieber. What a performance in a hostile environment. The 2 early runs obviously can get you rattled, but he was able to calm himself down. He gets out of the inning, and then everything was nice for him. And that's all the Mariners would get off of him as the Mariners only get 2 more singles in this game through the rest of the time that Shane Bieber was actually on the mound. His night tonight, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, which tied a postseason career high, and he does it on 88 pitches. So once again, early home run given up, and the rest of the game pretty darn brilliant for that particular starter. John, your thoughts on this start by the former Cy Young Award winner in Game 3?
Yeah, it just seems like a matter of getting it out of your system, right? Oops, home run. All right, time to lock in and get going. And it's not the first time we've seen that in the postseason for sure. I mean, look at Yamamoto last night, right? And so here we are with Shane Bieber doing the same thing. JD, nasty stuff from Shane Bieber. 17 whiffs generated on his repertoire, 7 of those on the slider. He had everything working, and I think that was the biggest thing. He had 14 called strikes, a 35% called strike plus whiff rate. So he was fooling guys, getting guys to chase, and, putting up the 8 strikeouts across 6 innings. That's going to get the job done if you can keep that Mariners offense off the board, especially when you have a night like George Kirby had, right?
Yeah, that's the other side of this pitching tandem, was that the guy that most people thought was going to be fine, considering his resume at T-Mobile Park and how good he's been over his career. Things couldn't have gone much worse, honestly, for George Kirby. After getting through the first 2 innings relatively unscathed, didn't give up any runs. It all falls apart in that 3rd inning, and it was the bottom of the order that got it going. He got that leadoff double by the number 8 hitter, Ernie Clement, who did that all season, right? He was always that instigator for some offense for Toronto. So wasn't that shocking, but when you see your number 8 hitter, you're like, you should be able to handle those guys. And then you get the home run by the number 9 hitter, Andres Gimenez. And he only had 7 home runs during the regular season. So it's not like this guy is somebody that you usually fear to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And here he is putting a jolt into one to tie things up. And the Blue Jays offense rolled from there. George Kirby's final line, it's ugly. You might want to hide if you're a Seattle Mariners fan. 4 innings pitched, 8 hits, 8 earned runs, 2 walks, only 4 strikeouts. Those 8 earned runs ties a career high for Kirby. And I actually texted you while we were watching this game. I was like, is he have a tell? What's going on here? Is he tipping pitches? Because it was amazing how Toronto was just mashing everything that George Kirby was putting up there. John, it's 1 game. Right. Mariners still have a 2-1 lead, although it doesn't feel like it when you get your brains beaten like this. But they still lead this series. But how disappointing was that start by Kirby, and how do you think this affects that Seattle clubhouse?
Well, I think coming home and wanting to, meet the expectations of your fan base after you took 2 on the road, you feel pretty good rolling into your hometown to get it done, right? Especially with the way that they trounced the Blue Jays the other night, 10-3. You felt like the offense would stay clicking. And Shane Bieber's coming back from Tommy John surgery. Didn't even pitch with the Guardians before he got traded to the Blue Jays. I think what did he have, about 7 starts or so before the end of the season. And so and he's been kind of hit and miss in terms of a guy coming back from Tommy John surgery, and that's natural. That's going to happen. But you just didn't expect the Mariners offense to go quiet the way that it did. And then you combine that with the fact that the Blue Jays just pour on the offense. They get back to doing what they do best, like they must have had a stern talking to on that flight to Seattle, because they did not look like the team that we were all used to, the best offense in baseball all season. No. And they didn't look like that across the first 2 games, even after we saw them do what they did to the Yankees, right? It was the 23 runs across the first 2 games, something crazy like that. And so, yeah, I don't think that the Mariners will let this affect them. I mean, they still have the 2-1 lead. They still have the chance to win this series at home over the next 2 games. And really, the Blue Jays, if they want to bring this one back to Toronto, they're going to have to win at least one more here in Seattle. I told you last night, though, JD, that the Toronto fans are crossing the border into Seattle, because they were certainly in the house as well as Mariner fans tonight.
Yeah, they were quite loud and boisterous and had every right to be, because that offense went wild against Seattle. We're going to take a deeper dive into that offensive explosion by Toronto, who just put the Mariners on notice that, hey, we are not going away quietly. We'll talk about it next on MLB Game Night. Today's show is being brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you do not want to miss right now. New customers can bet just $5, and you'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's how easy it is. You pick a bet, you put down your $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app any way you feel fit. Like Thursday Night Football coming up. Features 2, we'll call them veterans. Some people are called them an old farts. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers and the surprising 4-1 Pittsburgh Steelers in Cincinnati to take on Joe Flacco and the 2-4 Cincinnati Bengals. You're going to love how FanDuel gives you so many different ways to play. You can build your parlays. You can try the player props if you're a fantasy football guy. Best way to do it, in my opinion, is to go player props. I do it all the time. You can even follow the live line. So it makes watching football just that much more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan or you're just diving into those stats, FanDuel is going to make the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. The Toronto Blue Jays offense was bottled up in the first 2 games, which is something not many teams were able to do during the regular season, which is why it was so odd watching those games. Just like, what is happening with the Toronto Blue Jays? Like, nobody has done this to them. What we saw tonight was much more like the offense that we saw during, I would say, 95% of the regular season. The Blue Jays, they brought out the bats, John, put up 5 home runs total with the slugger, Andres Gimenez, leading the charge with that 2-run shot. George Springer continues to be money in the postseason, hits a solo home run, his 22nd postseason home run, puts him 4th all-time on the playoff home run leaderboard, along with the Yankees. Bernie Williams is who he's tied with. And it is kind of funny when you look at that leaderboard on the list. You've got Manny Ramirez in first. He's got 29. Kyle Schwarber in third with 23. You've got big-time sluggers right there. Number 2 on the list is the 5'6" Jose Altuve. Listed at 5'6", which means he's probably 5'4", because everybody lies when it comes to that. And he's got 27 home runs. That's the beauty of baseball. Vladdy Jr. came to life in tonight's game, nearly hit for the cycle, hits a home run as well. Alejandro Kirk hit a 3-run home run in the 6th that really put this game out of reach for Seattle, giving the Blue Jays that 10-run lead, making it 12-2. Addison Barger got in on the home runs, put one up and out in the top of the 9th inning to make it 13-4. Toronto was 6th in the American League with 191 home runs this season. So they do have some thump in their order. Popping 5, not shocking, but doing it in Seattle was probably a little surprising to people, because, you know, T-Mobile is a pitcher's ballpark. So ball doesn't normally fly so well, but it wasn't just the home run ball that got it done for the Blue Jays, was it, John?
No, they looked like the team that we expected them to be. And you had guys like Nathan Lucas, an RBI ground out, right? Nothing special, but adds a run. You got Dalton Varsho hitting a double, driving in 2, and then Ernie Clement driving in Anthony Santander. So the truth is that it wasn't just the long ball. It wasn't, Yankee style. It was what Braden said earlier. Get him on, get him over, get him in. And so, when you have Ernie Clement at the bottom of the order getting on base, that's so the top of the order can come around and you get Springer and Vladdy and Barger to drive those guys in. And that's exactly what the Blue Jays were doing well tonight, was everybody except Santander having a hit in this one, but he did have a walk. But the truth is that everybody was doing their part, JD, and then just in time for the heavy hitters to come around and drive in some of those runs. And you mentioned, known slugger, Andres Gimenez. The thing is he wasn't trying to hit a home run in that moment. He was taking the ball that was pitched to him on the inside, kind of in on the hands and down. And, he just happened to hit it over the wall. That's really kind of what it came down to. So it was a matter of getting back to putting the ball in play. And hey, bonus, you hit it over the wall. And so there's your 2-run home run right there. So these guys, they looked like the team that they've looked like all season long.
Yeah, I know chicks dig the long ball. We've learned that. But as a baseball fan, I enjoy a team that has been like the Brewers and the Blue Jays this season, where they keep the carousel going more times than not. You keep guys on base, you keep people, annoying the pitcher, make them throw from the stretch, and you just keep batting around. And that's how you can bury a team. I know the 3-run home run is huge at certain moments, but being able to do the little things to keep, runners on base and keep those rallies going is really important. But, if you're going to hit 5 home runs, you're probably going to win too. Now, the ball wasn't just flying out for Toronto in this one either. The ball was going out for Seattle as well. They got that 2-run shot by Julio in the first. Randy Arozarena hit a solo home run in the 8th inning to make it 12-3. Somebody that Locked On Mariners Tide Gonzalez has brought up saying, he really needs to show up in this postseason. Normally he does. That's kind of how his name became such a big deal, was doing that with Tampa Bay. Cal Raleigh goes back-to-back with Arozarena with a solo home run of his own to make it 12-4 Blue Jays. Julio Rodriguez almost hits another one, flies out on a ball that dies just shy of the center field wall. Was enough to get the Mariners fans starting to rock a little bit, and then they busted out the newest sensation. And no, they weren't dressing like Humpy, which I think would have worked, but they decided to go with that rally shoe again tonight, John. One guy had what was it, six shoes on his head?
Yeah.
He was stealing them from people. Like, where'd he get 6 shoes from?
Right, exactly. Yeah, give me your shoes.
Yeah. Well, if it gets the team going again, I guess whatever works, keep it up. But on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, how do you rate the rally shoe compared to other rally items you've seen over the years?
You know what, JD? I'm a little bit disappointed because this isn't new. They did it in 2022, and we all know how that worked out for the Mariners against the Astros. So, guys, I got to give you a 1 on this one on a scale of 1 to 10, because you got to do something new. You can't bring back something that didn't work last time. You got to bring something new to the table.
Something
so
fresh.
As impressive as the 6 shoes were on that guy's head, you got to think of something. I mean, Humpy the Salmon is right there. He's the one who got you the win in Game 5 against the Tigers the other night. So
it's time to get some Humpy out there. That's what you need. Told the wife about that tonight, and she loved that story. And she's a big fan of salmon. Normally, don't tell Humpy though. She eats the salmon normally. A big fan of that. More stats here about this game. 4 runs for the Blue Jays in the first 2 games. You get 13 tonight. 18 total hits in the game, just 8 hits over the first 2 games. Everyone had a hit in the starting lineup except one of the biggest busts from free agency, at least so far, Anthony Santander, but he did have a walk and scored a run. What changed for the Blue Jays in this one, John?
Yeah, I was diving into the stats, JD, and looking at, StatCast, and basically Blue Jays hitting it hard, attacking the zone. Springer's home run, 112.5 miles an hour. Varsho's double, 109.8. Addison Barger's home run, 108.3. Vladdy's 2 doubles, 106 and 105, and his home run was 106. So they weren't getting cheated up there. So they put 14 balls in play that were over 100 miles an hour for the Blue Jays. And the thing is that they swung at 2/3 of the pitches in the zone from George Kirby, and they made contact on 81% of those. So essentially, they were being selective, and it didn't matter what Kirby threw. I went to see, hey, what got hit out? Which pitch did he throw for the home runs? And it was
all of them.
Four-seam fastball, sinker, and slider. So it was like, all right, well, he didn't have it, and that's really what it comes down to. Here's the thing, though, JD. The Blue Jays made contact on 43% of pitches outside the zone. Now, what does that tell you?
It tells me that they were taking the ball where it was pitched.
Yeah, and going the other way and going opposite field and doing all that stuff, right? And so that's exactly what the Blue Jays were doing correctly, was, going where the pitch was going. And the fact is that that's what made them look like the team that they've been all season long, putting the ball in play, going the opposite way. And even, I mentioned that Andres Gimenez home run, he hit the ball where it was. He wasn't trying to yank it over the fence. He was just trying to put it in play. And so again, Blue Jays were just not getting cheated up there. And like you said, I don't know if George Kirby had a tell, but basically they were being very selective with what pitches he was offering. And that's why they were able to pile up so many runs on him. Yeah.
Yeah, when you see somebody as good as George Kirby get knocked around the way he did, it just feels like there might be some tipping going on of what he was throwing. It's just a possibility. I'm not trying to stir anything up, but this doesn't happen to him very often.
It's because he's got two first names. That's his problem. George Kirby.
That could be it too. Game 4 of the ALCS will be the late game on Thursday night in Seattle. The Jays will have 41-year-old St. Louis native Mad Max Scherzer on the bump against Luis Castillo for the Mariners. Now, we've got some cool facts from Yamamoto's complete game in Game 2, plus a look ahead to Game 3 of the NLCS in LA. That's next on MLB Game Night. Today's show also being brought to you by PrizePicks. This episode, PrizePicks is great. I love PrizePicks. I have a blast with it. It's the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off for you. You and I, we make decisions every single day. Some good, some bad, but on PrizePicks, being right means you're cashing in. You're making money. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. Does not take a long time. You think like talking about this Thursday night football game, you think Aaron Rodgers is going to throw more than the Pittsburgh Steelers are rushing the ball. You think he's going to break, say, 150 yards passing. You can put that in. You can do the same thing for Joe Flacco. You think he'll go under? You can do it that way too. It is up to you. How do you think it's going to go down? If you're right, you cash in. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Certainly was a special night in Milwaukee for Dodgers starter Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who delivered one of those rare complete game wins to give LA a 2-0 series lead in the NLCS. We might have seen complete games like that, 60s, 70s, back in the day. Don't really see it so much anymore. It doesn't happen all that often. And the great Sarah Langs put together a list of some wild facts about Yamamoto's start and how that started and what the Dodgers have been doing. How special it's been so far in this series. And I wanted to share a couple of them with you. Be sure to go check it out at MLB.com because she'll give you the whole list of them. But the Dodgers are the first team to get 7 starts of at least 6 innings in their first 8 games of a postseason since the 2013 Tigers, who also had 7. The Dodgers are the first team with back-to-back starts of at least 8 innings in the postseason since the 2016 Giants. They did it with Madison Bumgarner in the wildcard game, and then Johnny Cueto in the NLDS Game 1.
Nice.
First time a team has done this in consecutive games in the same series since the 2010 Giants did it in the World Series. Games 4 and 5, once again, it was Bumgarner, and then Tim Lincecum was also the other pitcher in that one. Last time the Dodgers had consecutive starts of at least 8 innings in the postseason, 1988. Games 1 and 2 of the NLCS from the Bulldog, Oral Hershiser and Tim Belcher. Yamamoto did not allow an opponent to bat with a runner in scoring position. Is that nuts or what? That last happened to Roy Halladay's 2010 NLDS Game 1 no-hitter. The only other pitcher to do so in the past 20 years was John Garland in the 2005 ALCS Game 3. I love the names that she brings up in this stuff. And then one final one. The Dodgers have allowed just 5 hits so far in the series. Just 5. That's tied with the 1906 Cubs in the World Series for the second fewest hits allowed in the first 2 games of a postseason series. Only the 2019 Nationals allowed fewer, with just 4 hits surrendered in the first 2 games of the NLCS. Something you'll notice about all these teams that are being brought up here, a lot of them went on to win the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them. So keep that in mind, because what the Dodgers have been able to do so far has been pretty impressive. And with that said, the Brewers are in a similar spot that the Blue Jays were in on Wednesday, right? Where nothing has gone to plan. The offense, which was very good in the regular season, is MIA. The pitching hasn't been quite as good as you wanted it to be, or at least not as good as it's been during the regular season. And now they got to go on the road to stay alive in the series. And you're staring down the arm of another guy like Kirby for Seattle and Tyler Glasnow, who can be almost unhittable at times. He's been one of the best right-handers in baseball. So, John, if you're in that Milwaukee clubhouse right now, what can you do to turn this series around the way Toronto was able to do it in the ALCS on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think it's two things, JD. And you brought this up when we covered the Reds versus the Dodgers, and Snell had that amazing outing. The Reds were very aggressive against Blake Snell and, letting themselves get out rather than letting him walk a lot of guys and do the things that Blake Snell normally does. Now, maybe that's out of his system, right? Maybe he's not that kind of guy anymore. But you and I looked at the stats the other night, and a lot of his stuff was still falling out of the zone. It was still getting guys to chase, still getting guys to roll over stuff that was falling out of the strike zone. And I think we saw a lot of that with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I think the Brewers were being super aggressive. They weren't letting Yamamoto pitch to them. They were bailing him out essentially.
They were attacking him instead of letting the count come to them.
Exactly. And I think when you look at what the Blue Jays did to George Kirby tonight, you said it. They took the ball where it was thrown and did damage on it. And I think that if the Brewers have any hope of getting back into this NLCS, and they got Glasnow on Thursday, that's going to be an interesting matchup. They got to let somebody like that pitch to them. And I think that's where they've gone wrong so far in this series. And to be honest with you, it's the same way that the Blue Jays failed to, capitalize and put anything in play over the first two games. And even going back to that Red series, these are all teams that succeed when they put the ball in play. They run the bases well. They take the extra base. They go the opposite way. They do all that stuff right. All the small ball stuff that we talk about, these pitchers going 7-8 innings that we don't see very much anymore. Well, we don't see a lot of teams doing the small ball stuff anymore. Yeah. And so I think that if the Brewers want to get right, they got to look at kind of what Toronto did tonight and say, that's got to be our game plan. We got to let Glasnow throw to us. Don't bail him out. Let himself get himself out of trouble. Don't get him out of trouble for you. I think that's going to be the key if the Brewers want to stay alive in this series.
Yeah, well, you're preaching patience really at the plate, right, where you try to do too much. And I know it's very cliche to say things like this, but it's honestly true. Like when you get guys that have a lot of swing and miss, a lot of times they have really good chase rates where they get batters to swing at things that are not strikes. Right. If I'm Milwaukee for Thursday's game, I'm literally standing there until there's two strikes. And it's going to put you in a bind early on in this game because your odds are not good when Glasnow gets ahead of you 0-2. But I'm just going to stand there for a little bit. I'm going to make this guy throw 15, hopefully get him up to like 20 pitches in that first inning. Right. And the way to beat the Dodgers, at least the way we've seen over the regular season, is to make them use the bullpen. And the only time Milwaukee made them do that was in that ninth inning in game one, and they almost pulled it out because of it.
Right.
You know? So where the weakness is. You know where their pressure point is and how do you get to it. That's really the key, that you got to navigate your way to it. And the one way that you always get to a bullpen is by making the starter throw more pitches that he wants to, which means you got to take more. It means you got to take strikes that maybe you would want to swing at sometimes, but you just got to sit back. You got to lay off a little bit and make this dude work. We've seen Tyler Glasnow in, games over his career where he'll get a little wild, very much like Blake Snell, where he looks like he can, throw a no-no just about every time he goes out there. Yeah. But there are times where he just doesn't have it. And people bail him out and start swinging at things that aren't strikes. And like you said, you just can't do that in this particular game if you're Milwaukee. Now, one certain particular guy that really needs to, that we still haven't seen him yet, is Christian Yelich. Where are you, Christian Yelich? He's on. Where are you? He's Christian? On a milk carton somewhere in Milwaukee because they can't find this dude. Chuck, host of Locked On Brewers, when we had him on this week already, spoke about him. like he's basically ghosted this team so far. Crazy stats about Yelich. Are you ready for them? Because it's pretty bad.
Hit me.
Christian Yelich has not driven in a run in 15 consecutive postseason games.
Ooh.
15. This goes back to his home run that he hit off Walker Buehler in the first inning of the 2018 NLCS Game 7.
Wow.
What year is this, John?
Right. 7 years later.
2018 was the last time he drove in a run in the postseason. Are you
grief.
kidding me? He's 0 for 7 in this. And it's not like he's on bad teams that haven't been in the playoffs. He's been on good teams. He's been the number 3 hitter on a lot of good teams. He's 0 for 7 in this NLCS. He is 0 for 17 with 11 groundouts and 5 strikeouts since his double leading off the NLDS Game 3 against the Cubs. Once again, where are you, Christian Yelich? How have you just vanished from this postseason so far? And apparently haven't done diddly squat in 7 years. Since 2018. And, Chuck mentioned, he's like, who is it? Why does this Yelich keep showing up when, they need him the most, where he's hitting dribblers and he's grounding out and he's, rolling over on pitches. Like, he's having a tough time. And granted, Blake Snell's not easy to hit off of. Yoshinori Yamamoto is not, but you're one of their best hitters and you haven't been able to do anything for him. So that is the one guy. APB out on Christian Yelich. If you see Christian Yelich or anybody that looks like him, call the Brewers. They're looking for him. They got a spot for him. They got a uniform and everything waiting for him in the clubhouse in Los Angeles. Let them know you saw him. They'll take care of the rest. So
exactly.
Game 3 is going to be at 6:08 Eastern, which means 3:08 LA time. John, you are the LA all-knowing. How wild is that as a start time for the lifestyle that is Los Angeles? This should be kind of interesting what the crowd's going to look like, right?
Yeah, listen, I love a good pile-on of the Dodgers, right? Anytime Shohei does something amazing and the Dodgers end up losing the game, I remind them of Tungsten Arm O'Doyle, the meme that I had to deal with for years and years and years with Shohei on my favorite team. So that's where I'm coming from. But I'll say this. Do not give Dodger fans grief for not being there on time or the seats looking empty or what have you, because 3:08 in the afternoon on a Thursday with the kind of traffic, dude, rush hour begins at 1, JD. So there's no chance people are going to get to this game on time. It's one of the worst parks to get in and out of. Plus you got to deal with the LA traffic at that time of day. Nobody give grief to Dodger fans, because if there's one thing I will give them credit for, it's that they show up and show out. So if the seats look a little, light, they'll be full by the the 4th inning.
And it's true. Like, if you watch a Dodgers game, it's why they have the late games all the time, is because
exactly. This is
need
ridiculous
to get people to get to the stadium. It's very, very difficult. Brewers fans, if you're going to the game, advice to you, hopefully you're at the parking lot right now and you're camping out, and that way you can get into the gates before the game actually starts. That is your best bet. So we wish you the best of luck, and best of luck to the Dodgers fans getting in as well. That's going to wrap things up for MLB Game Night. Thank you guys for joining us for this episode. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We do hope you'll come back and visit us next time on MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned